Chat, how are we? Hang on, I'm gonna best this. Playing Minecraft while listening to true crime. Chat, how are we? I'm back. Hang on, I'm taking off my hoodie. We're back, baby. We're back. We're back doing the streams. I did change it back to normal, didn't I? Because I put it on peaceful for the singing stream I done. Yeah, I did. I'm gonna find a true crime. We're gonna watch some BuzzFeed Unsolved. And meanwhile, I'm just gonna be making a chest room. What should we watch? BuzzFeed Unsolved True Crime. This one has a shark on it. The odd death of Michelle von Emster. We'll listen to this. I'm gonna leave it quite loud so you guys can hear it.
One of the most deadly suspects we've ever covered. With that being said, let's get into it. On Friday, April 15th, 1994, in San Diego, California, on Sunset Cliffs, two surfers noticed seagulls perched on top of
I need my food.
Upon closer inspection, they noticed that it was in fact the body of Michelle von Emster floating face down in a kelp bed. Pretty beautiful. Kelpie, but what a terrible thing that happened in such a beautiful place. Eventually, the body was taken to San Diego lifeguard headquarters at 4 p.m. Michelle was found naked, wearing only a brass bracelet and 2 rings. She had a butterfly tattoo on her shoulder and had long brown hair. Medical examiner Robert Ingram examined the body directly upon arrival to the lifeguard headquarters and reported, quote, large tearing type wounds with missing tissue, end quote. As the body was
Jesus Christ.
Its right leg.
That's a shark, baby. I've seen Jaws at least 6 times. That's a shark.
Oh, not so
A shark? She got bit by a shark.
I'm jumping. I've jumped. I've landed. Shark. It's a shark.
Just keep in mind, things may not be what they appear.
Huh?
One thing worthy of note is that he believed Michelle had not been in the water a long time.
I'll start my chest room soon. I'm just getting the wheat.
The consensus on the boat was that this was most likely a shark attack. One day later,
What?
April 16th,
The shark committed a crime. Just murder. Cannibalism. Not cannibalism. No, I'm stupid. Go away. I'm stupid. Just murder. A shark isn't a person.
In addition to large tearing type wounds, the right leg was missing from the middle of the thigh down. Her neck was broken, quote, as if she'd been in a car wreck, end quote. It had broken ribs, scrapes, bruises, and contusions on the face. Sand was found in Von Emster's mouth, throat, lungs, and stomach.
What?
That's a lot of sand.
You don't want any sand anywhere.
That's gonna come in big later, so remember that.
I don't remember it. Sand.
Furthermore, the report concluded that Von Emster had been alive when these injuries were inflicted upon her. According to Blackmore, Michelle Von Emster was last seen at 8 p.m., which Blackmore used in establishing his timeline, and placed Michelle in the water at midnight. Blackmore arrived at the conclusion that it was a shark attack because lifeguards, harbor police, and local marine biologists at Scripps Institute told him so. According to him, Michelle was attacked
There you go.
by a great white shark, forcing her to the bottom of the ocean, where she broke her neck and swallowed sand.
Jesus Christ. It's not going well for Michelle, is it? Blood loss or drowning as well?
So it doesn't. So you switch now. You don't think.
Yeah, this is baloney. I'm flip-flopping again.
Let's look at a couple things that don't add up in regards to Michelle dying due to a shark attack. First off, medical examiner Brian Blackburn, the man who concluded it was an attack by a great white, had never seen a death caused by a shark attack before.
Oh.
Neither had anybody who saw the body. The experts that Blackburn consulted with at Scripps Institute never saw the body. Instead, Blackburn came to Scripps Institute himself, making the institute's
how much do I need?
death questionable, to say the least.
Wait, so he hadn't even seen a death by shark before?
Do I have
Never seen a death
sticks?
by a shark attack. And the expert that he conferred with at
I do.
Scripps Institute, the Oceanology Institute, he didn't bring them in to have them look at the body. He just went over there himself and told them what had happened. That's called being not thorough.
No, not at all.
Additionally, Many experts do not think this was a great white shark attack, including Ralph Collier, the leading expert on Pacific
Got a
Coast
message.
white shark behavior and ecology. After seeing the remains of Michelle's leg bone, Collier said, quote, "When a white shark bites off part of a limb, the break is clean, almost like you put it on a table saw.
Jesus Christ.
Michelle's femur was anything but. It looked like what happens when you get a piece of bamboo and whittle it down to a point with a knife. I've looked at close to 100 photos of cases that I've reviewed over the years, and I've never seen any bones that came to a point." End quote.
A little beside the point, but very impressive on the great white shark's behalf that he's such a clean.
She just bit someone's limb off, clean off, it with ease. Yeah, very impressive, very impressive.
No, the bear. No, we've been over this before. The bear is the most deadly animal of all time.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
You put a bear.
Okay, they're arguing, chat.
Playing field in the world, water.
No, hippopotamus.
No, fuck you, dude.
Hippopotamus.
The bear's the most.
Way!
We're getting the hype. This is a different episode.
Oh, it's kicking off.
Another thing that seemed strange was the notion that the sand had entered Michelle's body after her leg had been torn off. Quote,
Oh my God.
Artery, and she would have bled to death quickly. But for her to have sand in her stomach, she had to take a big gulping breath as she made contact with the sand. End quote. Here's one last thought from Collier. Quote, "There are too many things in this case that are not consistent with white shark behavior." End quote.
He's the Richard Dreyfuss of this Jaws story.
Exactly.
This would be like if in Jaws there was a guy going around town just murdering people and then yelling, "Shark!"
And then just tossing them in the ocean.
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss,
Yeah.
science.
It's like, this is bullshit.
Against the notion of a great white shark attack is Richard Rosenblatt, the chairman of Springsteen Institute
What do I
at
want?
the time.
Birch.
Initially consulted with medical examiner Brian Blackburn on the case without seeing Michelle's body. And when actually given the measurements of Michelle's wounds, Rosenblatt said that none of the marks on Michelle's body were caused by a white shark. And furthermore, if she had been bitten by a white shark, they most likely would have found a great white tooth broken off into her body. And no
What?
great white teeth were found inside her body. There
Oh my
were,
God.
however, bite marks left by blue sharks, who definitely did feed on Michelle's body. Pathologist Harry Bunnell, who examined the case,
So did someone kill her and then feed it to a shark? I'm confused now. There's no actual suspect. Harry Bunnell, pathologist, and Glenn Wagner, medical examiner.
one final point to disprove the theory of a shark attack is the fact that Michelle's leg was missing. Here's another quote from Scripps Institute chairman.
Oh my God.
Quote, "If a shark had taken the leg, it could only have been a white shark."
Ooh.
End quote. So, if only a white shark
Shark committed the crime.
and it has been
Shark committed murder?
the culprit, then it's reasonable
Assault?
the shark attack was unlikely in general. But if that's true, then what really happened to Michelle Von Emster? Let's look at some alternate theories as to who
I'll build my chest house here, near the bees.
Michelle went for a midnight naked swim and subsequently drowned. This doesn't really look like the area you would go to for a midnight swim. It's very rocky and kelpy. This is not ideal swimming conditions. Proponents of this theory believe Michelle
What does this look like if I...
or riptide, and then knocked against the rocks where she died and was fed upon by blue sharks.
Huh.
A heavy impact
I
was
sound like a villager.
However, it seems unlikely that Michelle would go for a midnight swim due to the fact that, according to records, the water would have been too cold at 59 degrees, with the night air being 57 degrees. In fact, Michelle was last seen wearing a green trench coat at 8 p.m., so obviously, she was aware of the cold.
But did she have anything under the trench coat? That's a weird question. No.
wait a second.
It's
One of those, like,
Well, I thought if she was going to jump into the ocean naked, then maybe she was walking around with a trench coat specifically because she was naked underneath,
oh shit, right.
you know? But probably not. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
It kind of makes sense, I put it that way.
Put it on the theory list.
The second theory is that Michelle died as the result of a fall from Sunset Cliffs. A medical examiner for San Francisco said that Michelle's neck and
what do I wanna
brain
do here?
were more consistent with injuries from falls or car accidents. Sunset Cliffs is known as one of the most beautiful sightseeing spots in San Diego, but it's also known
I need more wood.
for pulling sandstone, and people have died in the past in this spot.
To be fair, it looks very
interesting.
You break your neck on that.
But the injuries you sustained,
Yeah, I don't think falling from this would cause your leg to fall off and sharpen to a point.
yeah, I could definitely see how someone would fall off this. I mean, it's very crumbled. This is not a stable little ridge here.
Oh my God, that is a very big cliff.
Some believe it was here that Michelle could have either intentionally jumped, accidentally fell, been hit by a car, or maybe Michelle was pushed off the edge. Which brings us to our...
Hey, the shark started walking, just pushed her off the edge. It grew legs. Would you look at that?
A reputation for drugs and was nicknamed the War Zone. The fact that Michelle was found naked is also strange, since I find it hard to explain how a shark or accidental drowning victim would be naked. Though, in addition to a lifeguard once claiming to have seen Michelle swimming naked, a work acquaintance named Edwin Decker would reveal in an interview that Michelle had a hippie vibe and had told him that she, quote, liked to surf naked, end quote.
What?
Like a Law and Order interview. Like they found the guy at the local grocery store moving boxes around. He's like, yeah, she had a hippie vibe to her. Yeah, I've seen her out there by the rocks swimming naked. Also, what were you doing out there, sir?
This guy was a bartender too, so in fact he's probably the same Law and Order, so he's cleaning glasses at the bar. Yeah, I've seen her before.
I need to get lots of wood.
Every Thursday.
Yeah, that rings a bell or two. That shakes a tambourine.
Although, her friends never recalled her surfing, and local surfers don't recall ever seeing her surfing. Perhaps one of the most suspicious details is the fact that Michelle's purse was found about 2.5 miles away from her body, in the sand on the face of the seawall. The purse contained Michelle's keys, driver's license, makeup, pay stub, and a fanny pack containing $27.
A fanny pack. Why do Americans call them that?
The purse was discovered on a heavily used stretch of beach, meaning it's unlikely
To be honest, I call it that though.
4 hours without
I'm British and I call it that.
itself may have stolen. This has led some to believe that somebody hurt Michelle, left her to die in the
Somebody hurt Michelle, left her to die, planted the purse.
She was drowned.
Maybe she was drowned.
Michelle would have had to take a big gulping breath to ingest.
Then the shark was just cleaning up the dead body.
Mentioned this only could have happened at the bottom of the ocean.
Which way am I going?
Found her in the shallow
This way.
water of the sandy shoreline. That could perhaps explain the sand. Either way, there are only 2 suspects, both unofficial. The first suspect is Edwin Decker, a friend who worked as a bartender next to Michelle's old job at Rumor's coffee shop.
Oh,
Decker,
this is so interesting.
was the one who claimed Michelle
Edward Decker claimed that Michelle told him she liked to surf naked.
a fact that would conveniently explain why she was found that way. Decker also claims the night before Michelle's death, he and her had drinks and had flirted for weeks beforehand. He also claims they kissed in his apartment after getting drinks.
Hold on.
Apartment at 5 a.m. in a cab. Though, Decker also mentions there was a friend sleeping nearby them in his apartment that night. Here's what Decker had to say about Michelle. There was a total intellectual connection. I felt there was an emotional connection too. At least on my part there was. And we also had a physical connection. I was so bummed when a couple of days went by and she hadn't called. I was about to give up on it.
Uh-oh.
Later, when he found out that Michelle had died in a shark attack, he wrote and eventually published this poem. Quote, Jesus Christ. Okay. Wait till you hear the poem. Oh, wait till you...
Well, I want to read the poem. Hang on.
No, she's a real hippie.
Quote, the report said there was a tattoo, a butterfly on her shoulder, which I remembered that night on my couch when I, like the shark, chewed on her lips and took off her shirt.
Wait, what?
No.
The shark can take off shirts now?
It's not even a good poem, it's just weird.
No, it's a very strange.
The shark bit. What?
I don't like that one bit.
And chewed on her lips and took off her shirt.
No, the shark was not doing that, sir. The shark is 10 times less creepier than you.
The shark. What the hell?
An investigator around 2008 and wrote to the San Diego Medical Examiner asking them to reevaluate Michelle's case, which obviously wouldn't be the first thing on the to-do list of a person who murdered the victim.
I'll be honest, that's the first thing I do.
Really?
Yeah.
Because of the guilt? Is that what you're
No,
suggesting?
because they'd be like, well, couldn't possibly be him.
No, that's...
Yeah.
I think
I
that's...
was like, you
that's
better find this killer.
That's a plot thing, that's not...
Yeah. I bet it's happened.
The second suspect was an unknown stalker who had stalked Michelle at her previous job at Rumor's coffee shop. She reportedly left that job to work a different job at Cabrillo Stationery and Office Supply because she believed the unknown
Get 2
man
axes.
had stalked her there. Michelle had mentioned that she didn't know this man's name, but that he rode a motorcycle. Denise Knox, Michelle's former boss at the office supply store, recalled a day at the store after Michelle's death when a man came in with a copy of Michelle's autopsy report to make additional copies.
Oh!
14, Knox told the San Diego Reader, quote, the weird guy who wanted all those copies of her autopsy, he rode a motorcycle too.
Oh!
So after hearing the theories, what do you think happened? Was this actually a shark attack after all? Was this a case of accidental drowning? Did Michelle accidentally or intentionally fall to her death? Or was this case more sinister than it seems at surface level?
I reckon it's more sinister.
The tragic passing of Michelle von Emster will remain unsolved.
It's definitely sinister. It's definitely more sinister.
I'm putting it on the bartender.
You can't tell me it isn't, right?
I need to take a bath and hand sanitizer.
Ooh, apple.
You deserve to be executed.
Yeah, poetry, yeah.
I need to get the bones. Right, I'll put on the next one in a second. I need to get the bones. Get the dog! Go, 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 go! I swear the mobs aren't spawning. Do you like creepers and stuff? Oh, they are. Never mind. Come on, I need to get this dog. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where'd it go? Hey, where's it gone? Where did it go? You know, I'll try and I'll do it when I see it again. I'm gonna put on another one. Let's watch The Boy in the Box. That sounds a bit too weird. The Grisly Murders of Jack the Ripper. I'm watching this one. No, go away, please. It's 37 minutes long. Violence against women, that may be upsetting. Okay, that's my warning for you guys.
Rip City. This is what the people wanted. We're gonna bag us a ripper today.
They're gonna slap the cuffs on him.
It's been over 100 years. Who better to solve it than the boys?
I mean, if we don't, I'm hanging.
It's a video, I'm not sure if it's...
We're gonna go back to the States. Well, here we go.
Any of you seen a ripper?
This week on BuzzFeed Unsolved, in our season premiere, we investigate Jack the Ripper, perhaps the most infamous serial killer of all time. Hundreds of suspects have been named for this case, and it has baffled investigators and ripperologists alike for over 100 years.
But it's not gonna baffle the boys.
Yeah, and we're ripperologists.
The boys!
That's not a word. I think it's a word. I've done so much research on this one. I'm very, very pleased with the case I'm about to present. I think I've done it.
You think this is your white whale?
I didn't solve
Guys, Twitter space tomorrow.
Oh, you just okay.
I'm doing a Twitter space. And then Thursday I'll be doing a TikTok live. Wednesday is a really cool stream. So I'm doing like a poem or song. Like, you know what Bilzo does? The get Bilzo, drop a cup, there's a cell phone. That, yeah, I'm making my own version.
amongst the backdrop of poverty, but suddenly
Let's,
string of murders
I'm really calm in this stream because we're just listening to this.
before.
We're just hanging out.
Culprit, a madman with no clear motive, the world's most notorious serial killer, Jack the Ripper. While most believe the Ripper claimed the lives of only 5, now referred to as the canonical 5, others believe the Ripper claimed the lives of up to 11 women. All 5
Oh my god.
victims were prostitutes, as many women
Yeah, I knew he mainly killed prostitutes.
prostitution.
I don't know why.
The morbid intrigue is not a recent development. At the time of the murders, literacy was increasing amongst the general
Oh.
population. The murders were covered in the newspaper, and the public became morbidly fascinated by them. In the end, the public was so upset at the failed attempts to identify the killer that the police commissioner and home secretary eventually resigned.
Was this like one of the first instances of like sort of a media frenzy around something like this?
Yeah.
It sounds like OJ or Jean Benet.
I wonder if they had true crime shows back then.
I don't think they do, buddy.
Like little, I could see them having little sock puppets, like, you know, like Game of Thrones.
Okay, I can see that. Little puppets, yeah.
Yeah, little puppets.
I'm on board with that.
Right.
Being on the police commissioner.
I need more.
This is the first time I've actually seen a police commissioner resign because he was so upset. And that makes sense to me because
It must be really traumatizing to be a police and like
the killer
detective sometimes.
by him at every corner.
any job in between them line. I'd want to be a forensics photographer, and like take pictures of dead, like crime scenes and stuff, or dead bodies. But it could be really traumatizing. I mean, I am doing criminology and photography courses, so.
Jump into the timeline. On August 31st, 1888, at 3:40 a.m., the body of Marianne Nichols was found in Bucks Row in Whitechapel. The body was discovered by a man named Charles Cross, who claims he was walking along Bucks Row when he noticed a bundle toward the western end. Another man named Robert Paul approached the body with Cross. Police would eventually arrive on the scene. Marianne Nichols was found on her back, her throat severely slashed.
Jesus.
She was disemboweled. It was determined she had only been dead for about a half hour, meaning the killer
I'm gonna turn it up.
was likely nearby when Cross first saw the body.
Now, how did they, at this point in time, I don't know what their forensics are like, how do they know what a half hour is? Do they just sort of, like,
I mean, he just goes over.
let's see, that's half hour blood right there.
Yeah, that's 30 minutes. We got a bloodhound? I don't know.
That's not,
Yeah.
yeah.
How does that work? How do they know how long the blood's been there for? Because they don't have like the technology to tell them.
You don't need a bloodhound.
Do they make a rough estimate?
You feed a bloodhound some blood, and it barks for every minute.
And it goes, A positive, universal donor. Right now we're at the site of the first murder. This is Marianne Nichols. They found her at the western end of Bucks Row, which is now Durward Street. You can kind of see where it was, like, see that building right there with the white windows?
Yeah.
We can't go over there because there's construction now.
It's a growing city.
Below that, and
For you guys, because obviously you can't see it, they're pointing out a building.
one of the houses that lined this street before, kind of similar to these
Yeah, it's really helpful.
ways here. I mean, it's kind of weird to think that they didn't know this was the first of what would be, you know, the most infamous serial killer of all time.
One crazy summer.
On September 8th, 1888, the body of Annie Chapman was found at 29 Hanbury Street. Her body was discovered by a man named John Davis, an elderly resident of the 29 Hanbury Street building. Her throat was cut, and this time, the violence escalated in that the murderer took her womb. So this is the approximate location of the second killing. Annie Chapman was killed at 29 Hanbury Street, but
29.
my sources have told me that street actually moved. 29 Hanbury Street is actually over there, but where it approximately happened back in the day was around like the entrance to Truman Brewery, which is like right there.
Imagine the pandemonium.
Dr. George Baxter Phillips was serving as the
Right, it should be enough.
at the time, and proposed the idea that the killer had anatomical knowledge by the manner in which Annie Chapman's womb was removed. That's the first clue. He's a doctor, probably. Or has basic anatomical knowledge. Later that month, on September 27, 1888, the Central News Agency receives a letter from the apparent killer. It reads, quote, "Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about
Oh my
leather
God,
apron gave
he's
me
messed
real
up.
fits. I am down on whores and shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the
Oh my God, he's generally a psychopath.
to write with.
Psychopath, man.
I can't use it.
I want stone,
The next
stone
job,
slabs for this.
the lady's ears off and sent to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I want to get to work right away if I get a chance. Good luck. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Don't mind giving me the trade name. Wasn't good enough to post this before I got all the writing off my hands. Curse it, no luck yet. They say I'm a doctor now. Ha ha. End quote. Ooh, what a piece of work.
Oh my God.
I gotta give it to him though. Jack the Ripper is a very catchy name. This guy had a knack for naming things.
He knows his brand. If this
He knows his brand.
or social media existed during this time,
I was gonna be a viner for sure.
to be a viner, he'd have extensive hashtags on every post.
Insta good,
Instafood, #Rift.
This letter wasn't released to the public until October 1st, and many believe that it was fabricated by a journalist. But regardless, it made its way to the papers. Once in the eyes of the public, the name stuck, and the killer from that point on went by the now famous moniker, Jack the Ripper. 3 days later, on
He was never caught.
at 1 a.m.,
No one knew who he was.
Stride was found on
No one still knows who he is.
Only her throat was cut, which led police to believe that the murder was interrupted when Dean Schutz approached.
People think he's a doctor because, like, I think it's because he cut and, like, slashed places. Like, I can't remember what it was, but, like, he done it really professionally. Yeah, so there's rumors that he was a doctor.
Almost as if, like, he was walked up on and he had to run.
Yeah, just, I don't murder this
It's like he knew where to cut and how to kill someone really quickly.
It was determined that she was dead for 30 minutes when examined around 1:15 a.m. Shockingly, only 45 minutes after the discovery of Elizabeth Stride, another body was found in Miner Square, just west of the Stride murder. A woman named Catherine Eddowes was the second victim in the same night. Her body was severely mutilated, including her face, as well as her left kidney.
I saw real like the dead photos in class once, and oh my god, it was so distressing. It was so odd to look at.
Just like I said, 45 minutes after a murder had just happened.
Can you go away, please? Bro, go away, chill. Oh my god.
This guy knows how to zag.
Either that or he just knew the police routes.
I think he's just a zagger.
So the body is back there. Right now we're walking somewhat near the path that he would have taken away, walking east away from the body. And then we're about to arrive at a site where he dropped one of the only clues he actually left investigators. It's here that police would discover one of the few solid clues in the entire case. A piece of Catherine Eddowes' apron found near the scene of the crime. The apron was found by Alfred Long in the
Come here, you.
apartment block near Goulston.
Don't blow up, don't blow up. I was gonna say, if you kill Tubbo.
Near this apron, a message was written in chalk that read, quote, "The Jews are the men that will not be blamed for nothing," end quote. A sign of the anti-Semitism that was common in the area. However, the crucial detail of this clue is the fact that it was found east of the Eddowes murder site, in the direction of Elizabeth Stride's murder site, the murder that occurred just 45 minutes prior. This perplexing decision could mean that the killer willingly entered an area that was swarming with cops. Aside from demonstrating the killer's evasive abilities, this could suggest the killer lived in this East London area, as it possibly explains the motive for entering a dangerous situation. Later, a postcard is received by the police department, dated October 1st, and written by someone also claiming to be the Ripper with similar handwriting. Quote, "I was not caught."
Why would you claim to be him, though? I don't get that.
Saucy Jackie's work tomorrow. Double event this time. Number one squealed a bit, couldn't finish straight off. Had not the time to get ears for police. Thanks for keeping last letter back till I got to work again. Jack the Ripper. End quote. This isn't confirmed, but there is information out there that this postcard was received by the press agency, or whoever received it, the morning after the night of the double event. The thing being there that's strange is none of the public knew about this double event, because it hadn't been in papers yet this guy was able to describe what happened in detail.
Yeah, because they're not running around.
No, I mean, there's not like...
Two people got murdered tonight!
There's not Twitter.
Pass it down!
And they're not playing a giant game of telephone with Dixie cups. There isn't Twitter. So it's possible and quite likely that if the timing of this is true, this is Jack the Ripper. On the 13th of October in 1888, the police spent a week searching every house in the East End's worst slums, but found nothing. On October 16th, a man named George Lusk received a letter. Lusk was the head of the Mile End Vigilance Committee, a group comprised of local businessmen to assist the police.
Hang on a second.
The letter was signed, quote, "From hell," end
What?
And it was delivered in a box with half a human kidney.
Oh my god.
At the time was believed to be Catherine Eddowes' missing kidney. However, it was found to be a prank by a medical student.
Wait,
Yeah, just a harmless prank, eh?
medical student? That's disappointing. I suppose, yeah. Because I love From Hell. Just that as a sign. From Hell.
This kind of also demonstrates the climate surrounding this. Like,
Right.
people weren't like, this is the worst thing on earth. There are people
They're
thinking,
like, well, we can have fun with this.
wouldn't it be funny?
It's like the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Nearly a month later, on November 9th, 1888, the body of the fifth and final canonical victim, Mary Kelly, was found in 13 Miller's Court in her bed by her landlord's assistant, who was seeking rent. This murder was by far the most gruesome, as her body was disemboweled and, quote, virtually skinned down.
Oh my goodness.
The last victim.
That's
It's a little
dis.
tricky because where there used to be an apartment building is now, as you can see, it's a parking lot or a car park. So we can't really know where exactly it was, but we know it was near the church. We know it was near the 10 Bells pub. So we could be actually at the place of residence of Jack himself.
Ah, lovely.
Landlord on the state of the body. Quote, the sight that we saw, I cannot drive away from my mind. It looked more like the work of a devil than of a man. End quote. And with that, we arrive at the end of the 5 canonical victims. But as stated before,
What did I place? Why did I place this?
11 victims, with Jack the Ripper.
I do not know.
One should wonder if anybody caught a
Don't know why I'm
glimpse
doing it with an
of this
axe.
monster, and it would seem that people did. When
Oh my god.
aggregating eyewitness testimonies of those who believe they saw the Ripper, a rough outline of the killer can be visualized. It can be assumed that he was between 25 to 35 years old, roughly 5'5" to 5'7", stocky, with a fair complexion and a mustache. Allegedly, he was seen wearing a dark overcoat and a dark hat. The Scotland Yard's Violent Crime Command Team has said that Jack the Ripper, who one could call evil incarnated, could be described in appearance as, quote, perfectly sane, frighteningly normal, and yet capable of extraordinary cruelty, end quote. Sir Neville
I'm pretty sure that's pretty much most psychopaths and murderers and whatnot. They act normal, because then no one will know, like, stand up like, oh yeah, he seemed like a sweet guy. It's what they all say.
narrowed his list of suspects down to 3 names. That being said, due to the overwhelming amount of compelling suspects and the fact that many feel the official 3 are not the Ripper, we're going to examine 8 names, starting with McNaughton's 3 official suspects. The first suspect was Montague Johnson Druid. Druid was a barrister who may have had an uncle and cousin who were doctors. Around the time of his death, Druid may have been around the age of 40 and supposedly had an interest in surgery. Montague possibly lived with his cousin, who was practicing medicine close to where the Whitechapel murders occurred. It also appears that about a month before the first canonical murder, Montague's mother went insane, and Montague had written in a note that he feared he was also going insane. In his notes, McNaughton adds, quote, for private information,
What's this?
I have little doubt but that his own family suspected this man of being the Whitechapel murderer. It was alleged that he was sexually insane. End quote.
Sexually insane?
After the final murder, Montague disappeared, only to be found dead within 4 weeks of the last murder. His body was found floating in the Thames River on December 3rd, 1888.
I get the sense this is only the first suspect, but I have a hunch everyone we look at is going to have 10 things that make them sound like they are definitely Jack the Ripper.
She's that.
London at the time sounds like it was full of insane psychopaths.
The second suspect was Michael Ostrog, a
Didn't mean
Russian
to do that.
doctor and a criminal. Ostrog had been in an asylum previously for homicidal tendencies. McNaughton notes that Ostrog couldn't
So I had a shovel
provide
somewhere.
for his whereabouts
Was it in here?
of the
Yeah.
murders. Ultimately, he was not convicted because there wasn't enough evidence linking him to the crime.
How does a homicidal tendency work? You just dabble in murdering someone?
Yeah, I don't know if that's tendencies. You either murder someone or you don't. I can't imagine there's a half measure.
He only killed a nanny. It was a funny thing when he was 15.
The third suspect was Aaron Kosminski. a Polish and Jewish resident of Whitechapel who spent some time in an asylum in 1889 after the last murder. Kosminski would actually reside in asylums until his death in 1919. Kosminski was known for his hatred towards women, particularly prostitutes.
Yeah, because he done a... Yeah, he only killed prostitutes, didn't he?
The police of a man in Mitre Square, which, if you'll recall, was the night of the double murder where the Ripper likely zigzagged between the police. Kosminski might be a name familiar to the public due to the fact that recently his name made headlines due to his being featured in a book entitled, quote, Naming Jack the Ripper, end quote. In this book, Russell Edwards claims that a shawl purchased at an auction contains DNA evidence proving Kosminski is the killer. The shawl was bought under the impression that it reportedly was found at the murder scene on the person of Catherine Eddowes, the fourth Ripper victim. Edwards enlisted the help of molecular biologist Jari Lohelainen of Liverpool John Moores University. Edwards and Lohelainen believe the bloodstained shawl is connected to Catherine Eddowes, based off of comparison from one of Eddowes' descendants. They also claim that semen on the scarf is linked to relatives of Kosminski. With this discovery, many felt that the case was closed, including Edwards. Which was true. That's the smoking gun, right?
You got semen, you got blood.
Just need a little bit more cobblestone.
Oh, I like that. You got the semen, got the blood, drag his name on through that blood.
There you go.
That's not bad.
It isn't bad, but let's find out why we can't do that. Quote, I've got the only piece of forensic evidence in the whole history of the case. I've spent 14 years working on it, and we definitely solved the mystery of who Jack the Ripper was.
Did you though?
Believers that want to perpetuate the myth will doubt.
No one knows who he is.
We have unmasked him. End quote.
So he's confident.
He's very confident.
But he's also spent a bunch of money and time on this.
I can understand why he's confident. He thought he had it from the beginning, then he goes to a molecular biologist. That guy analyzes it and goes, yeah, I'd be gloating like a fuckload. Can you imagine that? Like, you just solved one of the greatest mysteries of all time because you got the confirmation that you wanted to hear. But, much to the chagrin of Mr. Edwards, that may not be the case. It turns out that the scientist may have made a critical error of nomenclature. Summed up, Dr. Lohelainen
Need
identified a
chest.
mutation in DNA on both the scarf and an Eddowes' relative named Karen Miller. This mutation was believed to be named 314.1C. Mutation only found in 1 in 290,000 people, making it very likely it was a match. However, this identification was reportedly in
I need more wood.
14.1C, but instead 315.
I need to make an axe.
Which is a mutation shared by more than 99% of people of European descent. Basically, this DNA could be anyone if true.
So it went from being, it's that guy to, it's one of those million people.
Basically, it was like, oh, the blood on the scarf and Eddowes' descendant had this very, very rare mutation. Oh wait, I misnamed the mutation. It's actually
Let's
this
go to
other
sleep.
one. Exactly, he hit a wrong keystroke, and then, all of a sudden 99% of European people have this mutation. Furthermore, Kosminski's DNA was linked to the scarf using mitochondrial DNA, using a subtype that is far from unique. Sir Alec Jeffreys, who's regarded as the godfather of DNA fingerprinting, has said that this evidence, quote, needs to be subjected to peer review. No actual evidence has yet been provided. Further adding fuel to the fire of skeptics is the fact that Dr. Lohelainen has yet to publish this finding in a peer-reviewed scientific journal, and has refused to answer questions to news outlets, thus making it impossible to verify his and Edwards' claims, and effectively doing quite the opposite.
How did Edwards react to this?
Could you imagine getting the call, like this doctor having to pick up the phone and be like,
Ah, not him again.
Why, yes, the most famous piece of evidence in the world.
Yeah, about that. I think my pinky may have hit the 5 when I was trying to hit the 4, and it turns out it's kind of useless and proves nothing. So all that smack you've been talking in the press kind of makes you look like a big fool.
I've wasted my life.
The fourth suspect is the notion that Jack the Ripper was actually a female, a theory that virologists call Jill the Ripper. This theory was allegedly a hunch of famed Inspector Aberline.
Hello.
The idea that all of the police were on the hunt for a man.
Hello, sir.
They should have been searching for a woman. Would explain the Ripper
That's
being able to
awful.
slip by without suspicion. Some have pointed out that a midwife would have sufficient anatomical knowledge, and blood on her clothing would have raised no eyebrows. Though it should be pointed out that
That's a really good theory, though.
testimony points to a man. I love this
Because
theory.
back then, like, if you abused a woman,
Be able to, you know,
it would, like, I don't think you'd get in trouble with it.
police, not stupid police, but all these police would be able to, you know, not
It's not like now.
pick up on it because they're looking for.
Back then, it was seen as, like, normal, weren't it? So if a woman was to have blood on her clothes after killing someone, she could get away with murders.
Suspect is Prince Albert Victor Christian Edward, aka the Royal Conspiracy.
You know how they say you never trust someone with 2 first names? This guy's got 4 of them.
Doubles that mistrust or it
Cancels
cancels it
it
out. Yeah. 4 names fuck with me. That's what he said. I'm gonna cancel it out. Okay. This theory is
I'm just gonna make as much as I can in case I need some in the future.
wild popularity. Prince Edward was known to frequent areas where the victims were found, an activity that led to him contracting syphilis, which some believe drove him to insanity. Some posit this also resulted in Albert having a child with a local woman, and Queen Victoria demanded that everyone who knew of the child to be taken care of. Some believe that the insanity spawned by syphilis drove him to commit the murders himself.
Let's go make some
Conspiracy
chests.
theorists believe he was never discovered because royal aides assisted in covering his identity. However, as mentioned before, this theory is mostly regarded as ludicrous, as there is
Never mind, we won't need this many.
Looking into this, it's pretty clear that the movements of a prince, let alone or anybody that the queen would hire, would be able to be tracked.
I don't know.
I also do think they could cover it up. I don't know. I don't think it's that strong of a theory, but it is interesting.
I feel like if you've got so many things at your disposal, if you're a queen, you probably have guards. I don't know. You get away with a lot. Just grab people off the street.
The 6th suspect is famed painter Walter Sickert, a theory mainly posed by the successful crime novelist Patricia Cornwell. After making millions on her crime novels, Cornwell has devoted her time to the pursuit of...
There you go. There's some random chests there.
In 2001, Cornwell spent £2 million buying 32 of Sickert's paintings, letters, and even Sickert's...
It's not necessarily storage, it's literally just a chest room.
Described by art curator Richard Schoen.
In case I want to put some stuff in these.
Cornwell went full national treasure Nicolas Cage by cutting up a
Right.
painting in search of...
After this one, we've got
Cornwell rightfully claims that Sickert was
like
obsessed
11 minutes left, so we'll watch the rest of this together.
Sickert referenced
I'll just sit here and
his paintings, even titled in one, quote, Jack the Ripper's bedroom.
let me put it on peaceful,
Cornwell claims one
so my hunger don't go down.
position of 5th Ripper victim, Mary Kelly. She claims another painting mimics the facial wounds.
Let's criminology this. My criminology courses are coming in.
There are also reportedly accounts of Sickert cosplaying as Jack the Ripper. You realize this is before
What?
cosplay
And he goes on TikTok, starts cosplaying Jack the Ripper.
They have Venetian masks.
You don't find it strange that a grown man is dressing up as Jack the Ripper for fun. No holiday.
Yeah.
This just feels like, when people shame furries and, just let them live their life. If they want to dress up like a pony.
Okay, this is the furthest thing from a furry. A furry
But you're dressing up as a serial killer who killed
is
prostitutes.
a sexual thing.
It's not the same as dressing up as a fox.
Dressing up as a furry animal is a far cry from dressing up as a serial killer.
Exactly. You just said what I said.
Lost in the furry culture.
Strange.
You just said be war.
I mean, I'm not shaming it. I don't understand it.
Cornwell also shoots down the notion that Sickert's alibi was that he was in France at the onset of the murders. She cites sketches that place him in London in music halls at the time of at least 3 killings. By the way, anybody could sketch anybody. Like, that means if I drew a sketch of you murdering somebody back in the day, I could show up to the police station and be like, here it is. Here's Shane Madej in cold blood killed this woman dressed as a furry. And they'd be like, you're right, we had a lot of reports that Shane Madej is in fact a
Slap
furry.
the cuffs on those hooves.
However, the biggest piece of her case is the analysis of forensic paper expert Peter Bauer. Bauer identified 3 of Sickert's letters and 2 of the Ripper's letters as coming from a handmade paper run of only 24 possible sheets. Basically, the odds of both the Ripper and Sickert both writing letters on a batch of paper that only had 24 copies in existence is relatively slim. And while that is undoubtedly compelling evidence, it should be reminded that all of the Jack the Ripper letters are unconfirmed. I think he probably didn't do it, but he is indeed a weirdo.
Yeah, he's a weirdo, but I don't think we need to throw him in jail for it.
The 7th suspect is Joseph Barnett, who is particularly suspicious as he actually lived with Mary Kelly, the final Ripper victim. In fact, Barnett may have lived in 10 different locations in East London, making him well versed in the area and capable of navigating back streets. Barnett worked as a fish porter, and it's believed that Barnett was in love with Kelly, according to an issue of the Daily Telegraph on November 10, 1888. Barnett referred to Mary Kelly as, quote, his wife, end quote, when she was in fact only a roommate.
That's just
Barnett also
weird.
disagreed with Mary's life as a prostitute and strived to make money to keep her off the streets. Quote, Marie never went on the streets when she lived
But
with
if someone
me.
wants to be a prostitute, let him be.
Some theorize that Barnett committed the first murders to scare Kelly off the streets, which for a time
If you're not
actually
hurting
worked.
anyone.
But when Barnett lost his job, Kelly returned to the street to make ends meet. Their financial struggles often led to fights, and Barnett also disliked Kelly's love of gin. This culminated in one final fight over Kelly bringing home 2 different prostitutes, an act that Joseph found unacceptable. This fight apparently got violent. Even a window was broken. Shortly after, Barnett moved out, and only 10 days later, Mary Kelly was found dead in her apartment. After the murder, Barnett was questioned for 4 hours, but eventually set free. Having lived there, Barnett would have intimate knowledge of the household, including how to unlock the door from the outside. He was also aware of Kelly's schedule and tendencies. Details from the scene suggest Kelly was killed in her sleep, not by an outsider she invited in. Her clothes were folded by the bed, quote, as though they had been taken off in the ordinary manner, end quote, and she was wearing a nightgown. As a fish porter, Barnett would have crude anatomical knowledge.
They posit that he had anatomical knowledge because he was a fish porter?
As a known associate of Kelly's, he would be someone local prostitutes knew, allowing him to get close enough for a sneak attack. Reportedly, one newspaper of the time stated that Barnett's friends called him Jack. He also matched and the psychological
Jack the Ripper's alleged appearance. So he's between 25 to 35 years old, roughly 5'5" to 5'7", stocky with a fair complexion and a mustache, seen wearing a dark overcoat and a dark hat.
of Jack the Ripper by the
Unless it was a girl, what was it? I can't remember.
After Mary Kelly, the last canonical victim.
I mean, the girl could probably wear the same
Barnett would
thing.
have no other reason to kill anymore now that his
But then it might be a bit suspicious because they wear, like back then, they'd normally wear like
I like it.
feminine clothing.
I mean, also to me, most of them, frankly, are very circumstantial. This one, to me, while also circumstantial,
I definitely think he was a man.
evidence in that he lived with her. They fought 10 days before her death. He was not a fan of prostitution.
Right.
He tried to keep her off the streets. I could totally see him killing people to try and scare her from doing that, right?
The motive here is certainly the most compelling
For sure.
out of all the suspects.
And even the access is the most compelling. We have a known. This is the only one where I feel like there is a very clear tie between the possible killer and the victim. The 8th and final suspect is the most popular suspect on casebook.org, a site devoted to Jack the Ripper and a place for ripperologists to work together to solve the case. The final suspect is James Maybrick.
A cotton merchant.
Coincided with the stopping of the Ripper killings, as he died 1 year after the murders. Maybrick was an upper-class cotton merchant who resided in an estate called the Battle Crease House in Liverpool. Some would consider this to be a damning detail, as many feel the Ripper was a local man who likely wasn't upper class. However, it should be pointed out that all the murders were committed on a weekend. It stands to reason that a wealthy cotton merchant would have the ability to travel on weekends, and it is also worth mentioning that he would have the benefit of not killing in his own locale.
Huh.
What makes Maybrick such a popular suspect is what many consider the biggest piece of
He has a mustache as well. Apparently he had a mustache.
That piece of evidence is a diary reportedly discovered under the floorboards of Maybrick's estate.
Hold up.
A diary that is signed, quote, "I give my name that all know of me, so history do tell what love can do to a gentleman born. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper." And also within the diary are reportedly intimate details of the killings. Backing up the diary's authenticity are scientific tests that have confirmed the diary seems to roughly match the era of the Ripper killings. The diary was apparently discovered by a scrap metal dealer named Mike Barrett, and this is where the story begins to...
So he discovered the diary.
Barrett actually admitted that he fabricated the diary, only to recant the statement later, chalking it up to not wanting the publicity as he was going through a failing marriage. Also shaky is the definitive details of the discovery of the diary. Some sources have it falling into Barrett's hands via being handed down by various generations of family, while other sources have Barrett discovering it himself, or Barrett's associates discovering it and then giving it to him due to their knowledge of Barrett being an aspiring author. However, all that aside, if the diary was in fact found under the floorboards of Maybrick's estate, it is a very strong possibility that he was in fact Jack the Ripper. Following this discovery, a gold pocket watch was reported as potential Ripper evidence. The watch apparently contains the scratched initials of the 5 canonical victims, in addition to the phrase, quote, "I am Jack," end quote, and also, quote, "J. Maybrick," end quote. The scratches were analyzed via electron microscope by Dr. Stephen Turgoose, whose study suggests that the scratches were not done in modern times. Another doctor named Robert Wild at Bristol University's Interface Analysis Center concluded that the scratches, quote, "could have been very, very old and were certainly not new, but it is difficult to be precise," end quote. The watch, which was displayed in a Liverpool jewelry shop by a college caretaker named Albert Johnson, is dated 1846 and was purchased for £225. But given the circus around the main piece of evidence and Maybrick's far location from the crimes, it's understandable to have doubts of him as the Ripper.
I don't know, I like the other guy better.
Barnett?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might too. From like just looking at circumstance, it seems like he'd be the most likely.
This guy seems like kind of a boring fuddy-duddy. Like a rich guy who's like, "Well, I guess I'll go into town this weekend and murder some people."
Like he's treating it like playing 18 holes, right? Yeah, I could see that. I think
Back for some squash.
I do think these are the two strongest ones.
Yeah.
And if I had to put money on it, I'd probably say Barnett too.
All right.
You don't seem as convinced as I thought you would be. I thought this was really cool. A hidden diary under floorboards, a watch.
I know you don't like to hear this. This is sort of like my approach to a lot of these real true crime ones.
Yeah.
It's sort of a JFK
Oh no,
approach.
I know what you're going to here. And no, please don't say it.
Let it be a mystery.
Oh my.
Yeah. We'll never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we would ever find out who he actually was.
Very bad judge.
Why?
I feel like it's gone like unrevealed for so long now.
For over 100 years, the mystery of Jack the Ripper has continued to fascinate, confound, and infuriate the public. Perhaps one day we will have the means to solve the crime.
We might do.
This famous case.
But it's not like we can really do anything, because the killer's probably dead.
The old question will continue to persist.
We can find out who he is, and
Jack the Ripper.
I mean, it would be kind of entertaining to actually find out who he is. Because it's been unresolved for ages.
Saucy Jack, truly saucy. Saucy guy. Kind of a douche. Yeah, I'd say. Well, I mean, you could say that about most murderers, right?
Yeah, they're all douches.
You ever think anyone that was someone's last word to a murderer?
You're a douchebag, Slash. Alright.
Right, that's it. Right, that was a nice chill stream. I'll see you tomorrow. No, I won't. I'll see you on Twitter Space tomorrow if you come. So make sure to come to that. At some point in the afternoon. Yeah. Should be back streaming Wednesday. And I'll see you then. See you guys.